Hello and welcome again to another video and bit of crafting with me, Crafty Carol, here based in Northern Ireland. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'm going to make a thank you card using the beautiful Delicate Whispers bundle. This is the stamp set. You can see it's got some beautiful images on it, and it comes with some matching dies as the bundle, which are, they cut out the images, but also there's all sorts of additional extra dies as well, which is rather fun. So I've also actually used as well the thank you, because this is going to be a thank you card, the thank you from the Scalloped Blooms set, and I have used the middle-sized scallop bloom dies as well for this card. So those are the things I've used. I'll talk about the card as I give you the measurements, but I've also used this DSP. This is the Delicate Dreams DSP. Honestly, remembering the names of all these things, I wish they'd make it the same name as the stamp set, but anyway. And this is beautiful DSP. Again, it's double-sided, and it has, I hope you can see, hopefully it'll glint a bit, it has these beautiful copper bronze accents, which is just lovely. And there's that sheet with these lovely fronds. This one, dark blue, I've used some of that. On this one, these can be cut out with the dies from the set, which is always useful. This lovely bronze one, I love the shape of these scallops. This lovely background, I've used that with the lovely flowers on the front. All very similar. And this one, I think I've shown you all of them now. That's it. I've used a fair bit of it, so not that many full sheets to show because I love this paper. Right, where are all my bits? So, got an envelope, always important, and I'm using an ordinary and basic white card base, which is 21 centimetres by 14.8, scored at 10.5. If you are watching my videos from the USA and you use US cardstock, it needs to be 8.5 inches by 5.5, scored at 4.25. Then I have also, I've already folded that, also got various other bits, and this is a piece which is just 3 centimetres, or about 1/16 of an inch all the way around, smaller than the front. So if you're making this and using this layer, then do that. You don't have to use that layer, it's just a little addition. And then I've got 2 pieces of DSP, because I'm going to do something with them, you'll see in a minute. And these in total, I've overlapped them. I'm not cutting them exact size because I want an overlap, so I don't make sure I haven't got any space left. And this one is 10 centimetres by 8.5, I think. Let me just measure that again. Yeah, no, just under 8. It's 8 centimetres. So that's by about 8 centimetres. And you'll see it is slightly smaller than the layer we've got. And this one is around 7. It's the same width and around 7 centimetres tall. As long as they can fit in, that's all that matters. So I've also got, whoops, nearly losing one of my little die cuts there. I've also got a little piece of Secrecy ribbon to match this card, this DSP. And this piece is approximately, let's see, I don't know, about 15 centimetres, yeah, or around 6 inches long. That's just to wrap around. Then I have also cut the middle-sized Scalloped Blooms shape, which is going to be my accent on the front. And then I've cut all sorts of bits. I had some copper foil, Stampin' Up's copper foil. I don't think it's for sale anymore, but anyway, I cut out one of the dies, the Delicate Whispers dies, with that. These are cut out using the die that comes with the set. I've also fussy cut 2 little tiny flowers and 1 of these. I might actually make more of those. I'll have to decide. We'll see when we make the card up, but I thought I'd get those prepared first because it's a simple card to make. So we're going to start off by making our front piece. So to do that, I'm going to decide which one I want to overlap. I think I want more of my actual pattern, so I'm going to stick this one on first. So I'm just going to glue on and just use ordinary Tombow, ordinary glue, just to glue this to my Secrecy layer. And the reason for doing this first and then putting it on the front, you will see in a minute. So I'm going to make sure that it's got an even base all the way around. You can't see the base rail because obviously it's Secrecy on Secrecy. But this piece here is going to go on top. So we're going to line it up, and this is the reason for not being too exact for cutting, because if you try and cut them exactly, it's just a bit awkward. So I tend to cut them a little bit bigger, and then I can overlap them to my heart's content and don't need to worry about a gap in the middle, which doesn't matter anyway, because once we've stuck those together like that, leaving gap on the left is slightly bigger than the gap on the right. Let me just see if I can ease that along a little bit before it's fully stuck down. Just move it over a little bit, little piece. The beauty of Tombow is it gives me that wiggle room. Have I got it too big? Yeah, I've got it too big on the other side now. Okay, let's try again. One of these days I'll get it right. It's just a very narrow little gap. That's better. Right. So I'm now going to just place this ribbon. This is the reason for not putting it on the front. I want to put the ribbon across that join because it'll just hide the join and look a little bit better. And then I can stick this on the front. So to do that, I'm going to use some of the tear and tape. So we'll just get a strip of that, and I'm going to just tear it a little bit wider than the card so that I can wrap it around the back. So I'm going to put that right across the join, making sure it's straight. That's not bad. And then I can turn it around each side there. And then using my pokey tool, I can just give that a little burnish to make sure it's stuck down properly. And then I can lift it properly, stick one end of my ribbon there, tear off my tape across the front, take my ribbon across. Now you could add another piece across. You could add a piece behind to put a bow or whatever if you want, totally up to you, and then finish it by pulling it across the back, whoops, like that, and just sticking it down to the piece that's around the back. And there is my front. So now I can stick that to the front of my card. So again, I'm just going to use some glue for this, mainly because I've got all of the decoration to put on top, so that's going to add some depth, and I don't want things to be too deep because they cost so much to post if there's a lot of depth on cards nowadays, which is horrible. So again, because I cut this to make just a very narrow border all the way around, you'll see that I've just got this narrow border all the way around, so I'm being very careful how I stick it down. So do be careful in your cutting for these pieces to make sure that happens. So there is the front of my card all done. So now it's a matter of doing some decoration. So I've got my thank you, and I'm going to stamp this onto here. And I'm going to use Secret C so it matches the Secret C in this DSP. So I'm just, messy bit on me, a bit of ribbon stuck to me. Of course, I'm always messy with crafting, what can I say? I've also been very messy with this stamp. I managed to stamp in the middle of it, got some ink in the middle of it, but that's fine, we can manage. Let's clean the stamp now because I've got a lot of ink on that stamp. Obviously it was very heavy-handed, just dipping it in, but it's a very juicy ink pad, to be fair. Oh, while I've got it out, I've also got the, what does it say? This, your kindness means so much, to go on the inside. So we will stamp that while we are here. Your kindness means so much. So that can go up there. So I've got plenty of room then to write a message or whatever I want. And then I also have the flower stamp from Delicate Details, which I think actually, because that's so juicy and I want to colour it, I'm going to actually stamp that in Memento. So I'm going to stamp that as a decoration on the inside here, like that. And I'm also going to stamp that on the envelope. Make sure I get it the right way up. Like that. There we go. So the next bit is just to colour that, and I'm taking the colours from the DSP, and I've got a lot of crumb cake here, and I've got some green. I decided that was quite dark, and I've also got hydrangea hue in the flower petals, so I'm going to use hydrangea hue and crumb cake to colour these flowers in. So start with the lighter one, and I'm just going to go around the flower, filling it in. like that, and I'll do the other one while I'm here. I try to work quite quickly if I can on envelopes, because it can sometimes, the colour can leak through the envelope. That's the one thing about blends, the colour does go through, sadly. Now I'm going to get my darker blend and the little bullet tip point to fill in these little tiny bits that are around the very outside of my flower and the centre of the flower, and I'm just going to take out a little bit of colour out into the petals, and that will just blend nicely. This is one of the blends where there isn't that much difference between the light and the dark. It just depends. Some of the blends there's a lot of difference, on some of them there's not very much, and this is one where there's not very much, but there's enough there just to give you a little bit of shading there, and you can go over and over it if you want, but I'm not going to bother. And then I'm just going to colour in the leaves with crumb cake. I know you don't see that many brown leaves in nature, but hey, this is art, we can do what we like. My crumb cake's running out, must order some blends when I next put an order in. I seem to go through crumb cake blends much quicker, the light crumb cake, than any other blend. I don't know why. I use it so much, that must be why, but... And then just again, a little bit of shading, just to give a little bit of depth to this project. So not too much again, just a little bit, just around the edges. And there we have our coloured in flower. Hopefully that's roughly in the middle of the screen. It's very difficult looking at the screen while I'm doing it. There, so our envelope and that is done. We also have our centre for the piece for the centre of the front of the card. Now you can see that I've stamped the thank you up towards the top right hand side, and that's because I'm going to decorate the rest. So I'm going to use some of my dimensionals to stick this on. So that should do. I'll just take these off. Oh, sorry about that noise, just knocked my trimmer then. And I notice I've got a little piece off here. I cut it out of quite a small piece of card, and I've obviously just not quite got it in the centre. So I need to cover that up when I'm doing my decoration. Note to self. So I'm going to get that so it's more or less straight and in the middle of the card. And then I've got all of these bits here. I'm going to be sticking them on. So I've got blue piece, and that one can use to cover that perhaps. I've got this, and I needed to use this, so perhaps take that round there. That might look nice across there, and then my flowers more in that corner. Okay, might do that. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on the top bits of these, because these ones are going to be over there, and then I'm going to use some minute little bits. This is a little trick that I like to use, which is that I trim up. You can see I've done it for a bit along there, but I just trim up these pieces on the edge, so they're really tiny, really narrow, because they're brilliant for doing things like on these leaves. So if I take, the only thing is they're difficult to play with because they're tiny, but that's okay. So it means that for leaves like this that are going to be hanging off the edge of something that's already raised, I can actually use these and stick them on the leaves that are going to stick out. So I'm not folding it over the edge of that. Of the edge of the piece there. I should have put these on before I put the glue on, because I'm desperately trying now not to get glue all over my fingers as I do this. But that should be fine. So you see I've got some dimensionals on those little bits and glue on these little bits, which means that when I stick this on, assuming I've got it all the right way around, I think I have. The difficulty is now getting the edges off these tiny bits of dimension, which is fine. So then I've got my glue bits which will go on there, and my raised bits which will sit just off. That's it. Like that. Can you see? So that this is, I perhaps should have moved that around a little bit. There. Stick it like that, that's better. just so that I've covered up my little tiny nick in the edge there, which is fine. And then with these, I'm going to do much the same thing. I'm going to stick them partly on and partly off so that, now let's see, how shall I do these? Might have one going one way and one the other, something like that. So I'm going to put the bit that is off, if you see what I mean. I'm going to use some dimensions. So I can use just an ordinary size dimension under that leaf there. And then this piece here, I'm going to put some glue on. So this is my little tips for if you're working across the edge of something you've already raised on dimensionals. You can just use dimensionals and glue to make sure it sits nicely. Can you see how that works? And then we'll have this one, because I've got a big space there. I think I might just stick that one straight down, to be honest, because I might fill in that space a little bit. So I'm going to put glue all over that one because we'll fill in the thank you space like that. And then I have just one more little piece, which I think will stick just like that. I can always add a bit more to it if I want, but you see, just building it up as you want. Just hold that down because it's over 2 layers. So just providing a little accents around there. And I did have 2 tiny little flowers somewhere. There's one. I don't know where the other one went. I've obviously knocked it somewhere. I've got it stuck on me somewhere. Yeah, definitely lost the other one. Never mind. We'll just use this one. And actually it's got a little bit of adhesive tape on the back. Don't know why, but that's fine. Let's use it. Well, I think it's because I damaged the edge of it. That's why. So we'll have that up here somewhere. There we go. And if I ever find the other one, which was definitely here, it was a little blue one. And I spent ages cutting those out. That's dreadful. What have I done with it? Never mind. See what I mean about the colouring coming through? But nobody looks at the back of the cards. That's fine. That's very sad. What I am going to do is I am just going to colour the inside of that flower because none of the others have a white centre. I'm going to colour it with crumb cake. There we go. Just saw that, didn't like it. So there we go. And just to finish the card, I might use these nice white ones actually because I never get around to using white. I've got these little butterflies, so I think I might use a few of them just to finish the card off. So we'll have a couple up here, one just there, and I'll have a third one floating around the top here, like that. There we go. So there is my thank you card for our blog hop this month. A really simple one. Just use the DSP because it just gives you so many opportunities, and just a little bit of few little die cut things. See, very little stamping. I've only stamped the thank you, the inside sentiment, and these flowers for the front of these. Actually, I'm going to go over them and put a brown centre because then it'll match the one on the front. Wrong end. That's a damaged end. Let's do that end. There we go. Just so it matched the fronts on the front a little bit better. That's better. So I hope you like my card, and I hope you'll join me in future for having to make something else. If you sign up for my emails, you will get information on my free classes. I do online craft alongs where I send you all the information you need to make a card, and then we make it together on Zoom. I was recording those. I'm now not. They're not going to be recorded in future. I'm doing separate videos for things. So I hope you enjoyed this card, and I hope you have a go at making it. Thanks for joining me today. All of the measurements, if you need them again, are on my blog at craftycarolscards.co.uk, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.